Welcome to LinguaWire English B1. Today, we have two stories. One about a young man searching important files linked to Jeffrey Epstein, and another about a satellite company limiting images of Iran and the Middle East. Follow us to practice your English every day with the latest episode. For transcripts and comprehension quizzes, visit linguawire.com. Today, I'm joined by Sarah, LinguaWire's politics correspondent. Sarah, can you tell us what happened with the Epstein files and this young man who is searching them?
Yes, Daniel. Caden McBride is a 19-year-old from Rome, Georgia. After school, he spends hours looking through the Jeffrey Epstein files on the U.S. Department of Justice website. These files include flight logs, transcripts, images, and videos. They give new information about Epstein's crimes and his connections.
What is new now about these files? Why is Caden still searching them?
The files have been released slowly over months. Recently, the former Attorney General, Pam Bondi, was removed from her position. Caden and many others think she did not do enough with the files. They hope the new leadership will focus more on this issue. Also, First Lady Melania Trump recently spoke out, denying any connection with Epstein and asking Congress to hold a hearing for his victims. This brought the story back to the news.
Why did Caden and others feel disappointed with Pam Bondi?
Caden says Bondi delayed releasing all the files and did not prosecute important people connected to Epstein. He feels this goes against the Make America Great Again movement, which he once supported. Many supporters expected more action to expose corruption. Bondi's removal shows that some changes are happening, but Caden and others still want more accountability.
Why does this story matter now, especially with the political changes?
It matters because it shows how people who once strongly supported a political movement can become disillusioned when they see little action on important issues. The Epstein files are about justice for victims and exposing corruption. If the new leadership acts, it could restore trust for some supporters. Also, the First Lady's statement is unusual and may increase public interest.
What could happen next with these files and the investigation?
The new interim Attorney General, Todd Blanche, may speed up the release of files or start new investigations. Congress might hold hearings for Epstein's victims, as Melania Trump suggested. This could bring more facts to light and possibly lead to new legal actions. Caden and others will likely continue their search for truth online.
Is there any surprising detail about Caden or his work on this?
Yes, it is interesting that a young person like Caden, who once strongly supported Trump, is now spending hours every day researching these files. It shows how personal beliefs can change when people see new facts. Also, the fact that the First Lady spoke publicly about Epstein is quite unexpected.
How do Trump and others respond to these changes?
Trump praised Pam Bondi for doing a tremendous job, even after her removal. Meanwhile, Todd Blanche, the new interim Attorney General, denied that Bondi's handling of the Epstein files caused her to leave. This shows there are different opinions about the situation.
Thank you, Sarah. That helps us understand the latest on the Epstein files and why this young man's work is important. Now I'm joined by Michael, LinguaWire's technology correspondent. Michael, what is happening with the satellite company and images of Iran?
Hello, Daniel. The company Planet Labs, based in California, has decided to limit access to its satellite images of Iran and much of the Middle East. At first, they delayed new images by 14 days starting in March. Now, they have stopped sharing many images indefinitely.
Why did Planet Labs make this decision? What caused the change?
Planet Labs said the delay was to stop enemy groups from using the images to attack Allied soldiers and civilians. The US government asked them to restrict the images, but the exact reasons are not clear. The US Department of Defense did not comment. The company now shares some images only occasionally when the security risk is lower.
Why does this restriction matter for journalists and humanitarian groups?
Journalists and humanitarian organizations use these images to see the effects of the US-Israel war with Iran. They look at damage to military targets and places where civilians live. Without new images, it is harder to report on what is happening and to help people affected by the conflict.
What is unusual or surprising about this news?
It is unusual that a private company would stop sharing so much important information. Also, an expert said that companies with military contracts sometimes follow government requests because of business reasons, not just security. This shows how commercial and political interests can affect what information is available to the public.
How big is the area affected by these restrictions?
Based on reports, the restrictions cover most of the Middle East, including Iraq, Lebanon, Israel, and Gaza. This is a large area, which limits many users from seeing recent images.
What might happen next with these satellite images and the restrictions?
The restrictions could continue for a long time depending on the security situation. Planet Labs said they will share images on a case-by-case basis. Journalists and groups may look for other sources of information. The lack of images may make it harder to understand the situation in the Middle East fully.
Is there any detail about how this affects news reporting?
Yes. BBC Verify has used Planet's images to report on the Middle East, including after the war started in February. Now, images taken after 9 March are not usually available. This limits how much journalists can show recent events. It makes reporting more difficult.
Thank you, Michael. This story shows how technology and politics can affect what we see in the news. Let's look back at some useful words from our first story about the Epstein files. The theme is legal and political terms. First word, files. Files are collections of documents or information stored together. In the story, the Epstein files are all the papers, videos, and other material about his crimes. For example, I keep my work files on my computer. Second word, prosecute. To prosecute means to officially charge someone with a crime and take them to court. In the story, Pam Bondi was criticized for not prosecuting important people linked to Epstein. For example, the government will prosecute people who break the law. Third word, accountability. Accountability means being responsible for your actions and accepting the consequences. Caden wanted more accountability from officials handling the Epstein case. For example, managers have accountability for their team's success. Now for the second part of the recap, I will explain the phrase, bring to light. This phrase means to show or reveal something that was hidden or unknown. You use it when new information or facts become known. In the episode, new investigations could bring more facts to light about Epstein's crimes. For example, the report brought to light serious problems in the company, or the investigation brought to light new evidence. This phrase is useful when talking about discoveries or important news. You can use it when you want to say that something hidden is now clear or visible. For example, the study brought to light the causes of the problem, or the news brought to light the truth about the event. Follow Lingua Wire for the latest daily episode and build your daily language habit with us.